Understand something. Plain and simple. To me, Abigail was a delicious poison. An intoxicating, overwhelming poison. Yowie wowie! That felt good! Yowie wowie. Let me in.
That intro can only mean one thing, I think, especially on a Monday evening. That means that you have joined us for another episode of Abby's Window, and we've got a little bit of breaking news. Jodie, share with everyone what the breaking news is.
All right. So I want to give credit to Matt the Misfit on Twitter. During my busy day at work today, he shot me a DM because he knew I'm not on Twitter much during the day. Shot me a DM and said, hey, guess what? A Moment of Bliss is going to be opening Raw tonight. And Randy Orton is going to be the guest on A Moment of Bliss opening Raw tonight.
That is exciting. It's
Very.
interesting, especially given what transpired last Monday night to close the show. And we will definitely get into that. But first, I want to give a few shout outs to some folks that have joined us this evening. We've got Robert Morris, Jen Carter, Little T, Kevin Correa, the Texas Star fan in a coma. Sorry, dude. John Cena Gamer 0809, Joey's Adventures, B Tazzy is in the house, Butterspark.
Peaches!
Yeah, Peaches, indeed. James, Chadwick, Hayden, Garrett, Sunny Wolf, thank you for joining us this evening. Let's see who else we've got here. Iconic Beast 3 from Periscope. Let's see. Gamer Guy says yo. Shane Loki, Mike Lister, MTAS, Sean, how are you? Krista Zuba, Sean Rousset. So yeah, we've got a good crowd so far this evening. So thank you all for joining us. And before we really get started here, please make sure you give us a like on this video, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. Yeah, I'm excited to get going here, Jodie.
Me too.
So we got this image last week, and it was amazing, an amazing moment because it felt like a scene out of a horror movie. So, tell me your initial thoughts on this when you saw this moment.
Well, first of all, shout out to James Grant from he's one of the admins in our Firefly Funhouse fan group on Facebook. I borrowed his screenshots. He always has really good screenshots from Ron. I borrowed his screenshots for the show. So thank you, James. Also, thank you to Eric Grubb for starting the group. It's been fantastic. We're at 15,000, almost 15,000 members now. So that's great.
Wow.
So I actually did not get to watch this live. I had a really long day at work that day, and I had to be there very, very early on Tuesday mornings, and we were doing our interview. So I actually fell asleep maybe 5 minutes after we finished doing that interview with Rob on Monday. So I didn't get to see any of it until I think I watched it on Wednesday, like 2 days later. And my initial reaction is the same as it has been for any of this storyline. It's, giddy little kid on Christmas morning. It was so exciting. I loved that he just popped up and was like peekaboo and then disappeared. And he did it twice. It was great. It was great. And I kind of knew that it was going to be a while before he gets his hands on Randy. I knew that this was going to be a slow burn. I know we've said that a lot, that there was going to be a slow burn. This is the psychological warfare, and he's just getting warmed up. It's exciting.
Yeah. Yeah. And I did see here that I want to address this while we're talking about it. The Texas Star fan in a coma says, or in a comma, because that's what it actually says. But did anyone see that hilarious botch where Bray was moving into position? Not
I don't think it
necessarily
was a botch.
I'd put that on the camera people more than anything. But I think when it comes down to it, I mean, at times we have to, when we're wrestling fans, we have to really think about what we're seeing, and it's a show. And sometimes bad camera angles happen, and it is what it is. But I think that the moment didn't suffer from that.
No.
I know when I saw this, I was like, wow, this is amazing. Is he actually going to physically touch him? And he
Nope.
didn't. And and it's like, okay, this is this is good. I like this. But yeah, this was an amazing moment. And I was really, really excited with how they're doing this. Like it's at the point where it's like, okay, I want him to physically like beat him up or do something. But then you think about it, it's like, but
Don't do it too fast.
Won't do it too fast. I mean, let
Nope.
it burn, let it burn a little bit longer, and then, when we get this Inferno here in a little while, that would be amazing.
Just let it build. It's it's a beautiful story, and
Yeah.
if the more you let it build, the more that anticipation builds when he finally does get his hands on him. It's going to be even more exciting because it's been built up so much, and there'll be so much excitement and anticipation. Like, I love it. Just let it build, let it stew.
Yeah.
And I also coincidentally don't think that it was a botch.
Yeah, I don't.
Because Bray could have easily moved, when the lights went out. It's not like he's not done that before. I think it was intentional. It's just my theory. I think it was an intentional thing, showing everybody that the Fiend's still around, and he popped up and surprised him once. Now when is he gonna do it again?
Yeah.
The Fiend's moving. What's he gonna do next?
Yeah.
So I think it was intentional. But
Yeah. Mike Lister asked, could John Cena feature in the Randy versus Fiend feud, considering the history he has with both?
I don't know. I mean, we haven't seen Cena since Mania.
Exactly.
We haven't really seen the outcome of that. I mean, you have seen the outcome of the match, but we haven't seen the remnants of the match. Everybody else has changed afterwards. So we've seen what they're like after they've been beaten and defeated by the Fiend. But we haven't seen Cena since. So maybe he just disappeared. Maybe he's trapped in the Funhouse.
He may be. He very well may be. Let's see. We've got a few other people that joined us. We've got Wrestling Days fan, Steve Jericho, Boy Dally, C Wrestling. How are you? Let's see who else we've got. I think that might be it for right now. So Jodie, where do you think we're going with this? I mean, especially tonight. Do you think we get an attack tonight?
No, I don't. I think this is going to be more psychological. Sorry, my throat just got really dry. More psychological teasing. I don't think he's going to get his hands on Randy until next year.
Till next year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Hayden Garrett just brought up a good point. Even if John Cena got involved, we couldn't see him anyway. So you
Yeah,
know.
he's probably been there the whole time. We just can't
He
see him.
has.
Yeah.
He's been wrestling in matches and cutting promos and doing all this stuff, and
We
we just can't see him.
yeah, we just can't see him.
So what do you think? I mean, I know you. I asked if you think we'll get an attack tonight, but what do you think we'll get tonight?
I think we'll definitely get some shenanigans on
Shenanigans.
shenanigans, my favorite word. We'll definitely get some shenanigans on a Moment of Bliss. I don't think we actually see the Fiend during a Moment of Bliss, but I think we may see him on the Titantron, and we may hear a laugh, or
Mm,
and then depending on what Randy has later, I think he may pop up during the match again to mess with him.
yeah, yeah. I definitely think we're going to get some shenanigans. Our favorite word.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Um, Today's the last day that we can do this, but it's going to be some good gobbledygooker. Um, since since we're at the last day of November,
Oh,
that's going to go
already?
already. I know, but yeah, I do think we are going to get some good stuff tonight. I want to see the
Mm-hmm.
mind games that Alexa plays with Randy.
Yes,
I
she
think,
definitely will.
yeah, I think maybe I think we get more mind games from her tonight
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and less from the Fiend. That
Yep.
just my opinion, but yeah, James Chadwick says maybe Orton RKO's Alexa. Um, Butterspark asked a really good question. How many RKO's can the Fiend take though?
How many
I,
stomps did he take, Butters? Come on now.
I mean, what did he take? 9,000 stomps in that match?
I actually, wasn't it 13, 14?
Yeah, something like that.
See
Yeah.
wrestling, oh no.
C Wrestling says, I wonder why Moment of Bliss is kicking off the show. When that happens, usually it's to build to something later in the night.
Yep.
Yeah.
And yep, that's what I said. I
Yeah.
think if Randy has a match later on, that some more shenanigans will happen.
Yeah. Yeah. Matt J. Hendricks says several news outlets have confirmed that Orton versus Fiend is penciled in for TLC.
I'd be okay with that, but I would rather it be Orton versus Bray.
Funhouse Bray.
Not necessarily.
Okay.
I don't think it's time for Orton versus the Fiend yet.
So
But
you're
I do
thinking,
I think it's going to be, I would like to see a progression similar to what he had with Braun Strowman, where
oh,
he
I
fought him as Funhouse Bray. He fought him as Cult Leader Bray.
yeah.
So I would like to see TLC Orton versus Cult Leader Bray.
See, I like that. I like that. That's I think I honestly think that that's what's needed
Mm-hmm.
because that's where the history is.
Mm-hmm.
So why not go there to
Mm-hmm.
for this TLC? I honestly think we may get, and maybe I'm wrong, but I think we may get a Funhouse Bray and Randy match on Raw at some point soon.
Yeah, I definitely think that would be a good build up to
Yeah.
TLC. If they have him and Funhouse Bray have some kind of interaction, because Funhouse Bray was kind of the first person that acknowledged all of this coming to light with the painting and hearing the fire and all of that. And Funhouse Bray's been the kind of one affected by that and distracted by it. So I definitely think building it that way and having an interaction or a match between him and Funhouse Bray, and then, you know, maybe we get some kind of flashback to Cult Leader Bray and have that build in a way that Cult Leader Bray needs to take his turn next.
Mm. Yeah.
And
Yeah, I
then
mean,
building up again to
mhm.
The Fiend versus Randy Orton at WrestleMania.
Yeah. James Tadwick says, I hope we get Fiend versus Orton in an Inferno match.
I would love it.
That would be awesome.
It makes sense. I mean,
Yeah. I mean, you've got to bring the fire back into it.
mm-hmm,
You have to at some point. So,
mm-hmm.
so I absolutely think that that's going to happen. Okay. So last week we also got an episode of the Firefly Funhouse
Yes, we did.
where the subject was friendship. And before we go on, we have to do this. So, just want to say rest in peace to Friendship Frog. Gone way too soon.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Poor
way
Friendship
too
Frog.
soon. Yeah, I know. He we enjoyed the little bit of time that we got.
I enjoyed the little
Um,
twinge of a British accent. It was nice.
yeah, yeah. Now you before we got the show started tonight, you brought up a very interesting observation, and I wanted you to share this. And Joey's Adventures just got it about the year that Friendship Frog was born.
Yeah, so the year Friendship Frog was born was 1980. And coincidentally, the year Randy was born is 1980.
That is very, very interesting.
Hmm.
Very.
Hmm.
Hey, oh gosh, Shane Loki, love it. Um, he said we only knew Friendship Frog for just a tad.
Yeah. Too bad he had to croak.
Yeah, see,
That
if
was
I
my favorite. That was my favorite line in that entire Funhouse episode. Too
yeah,
bad he croaked. I was like,
oh
uh-oh,
goodness.
Bray's bringing jokes tonight.
We have a Moda alert. What's up, Moda? Thank you for joining. Big Dan says, just so you know, Friendship Frog might be like Kenny and Rambling Rabbit. From what I've gathered, WWE has locked down trademarks for Friendship Frog, according to reports.
Mm.
Interesting there.
Mm.
See, Wrestling says he's with the parrot now. In the great puppet beyond.
Yeah.
That's where.
In puppet heaven.
Yes. So we talked a lot about friendship last week. And what did you make of that episode of the Funhouse? And then we'll talk a little bit about when we saw Alexa later on.
I think it was interesting that normally Funhouse Bray is the one saying that, it's all about friendship and we're all friends together and we're all here together. It's a special safe place. And, that's really the first time that they've said, friendship sucks. And so that was interesting that now he's kind of changing his tune a little bit. And I love that Abby still has a potty mouth. I think it's great.
Yeah.
I love that that wasn't a one-time thing. I love that they're continuing to do that. Also interesting, was it this week it was this week that I noticed that Alexa looked just like Angelica from Rugrats.
Yeah.
That was the first thing I know. I'm like, she looks just like Angelica from Rugrats, with the color of her dress and stuff like that. Yeah.
And then
So I
you even
wonder
have
if,
a little cartoonish thing on the, on it too. So
yeah. So I
yeah.
thought it was a great episode. I loved it.
I
love them all. I love them all, but
I love this episode. Let's see.
I also like that Alexa was the one that killed the frog.
Yes. And that's I'm gonna shout out a couple people here, and then we're going to segue into that. We've got Jesse Callan Corner joining us. We've got Ahmad or Al, whichever way. Scott Turner, thank you for joining us. Um, Hayden Garrett says Friendship Frog and the Parrot in Muppet Heaven. Uh, so, um, so yeah, let's talk about Alexa a little bit more.
Sure.
After this, she was involved in a match with her former best friend Nikki Cross,
Mm-hmm.
and the match, my goodness, that's really all I can say right now because it got to a point where it looks like Alexa is just done, and you can
Mm-hmm.
tell that Nikki is really struggling with just just finishing the job there, and we get Alexa, crying and saying I'm sorry, help me, and all these things, and then plot twist. So
Plot twist.
yeah, plot twist. So tell
Psych.
tell me tell me what you thought about that match. I loved it.
I thought Alexa played it off perfectly. I knew as soon as she started crying and like pretending to come out of this trance, like what's going on? What's happening? That it was all a ruse. I knew
Yeah,
it from the second. Um, it's just her own way of playing mind games with Nikki. And um, yeah, I thought it was a really good match. And, Alexa is playing this off so well. She's doing such a good job, with this character. And I think she fits with Bray perfectly. I think they make a great team. They're very good at mind games.
yeah, and like Matt J. Hendrick says right here, and I completely agree. When I talk about the match, I'm not talking about the in ring work or anything, just the psychology of it all. But Matt says Bliss versus Cross wasn't about the match; it was about the story more than
Mhm.
anything else. Completely agree. Completely
Mhm.
agree. Um, I mean, honestly, that's how you tell a story in the ring. And I don't even know that it could have been better if they had done it like a cinematic match.
Mm.
Um,
I don't think it needed it.
it didn't, and that's what I felt when I watched it. I said, how would this be as a cinematic match? But honestly, it didn't need it with how their facial expressions and everything else that went into it. Um,
Mhm.
I mean, it was just, oh goodness, it was great. Joey's Adventures asked, when Alexa does eventually fight as the Fiend type character, should she no sell?
Hmm. I don't know. I mean, I think she should go all out for it.
I agree with that. Um, I think she should embody everything that the Fiend brings. So
Mhm.
I mean, we all know that, and she actually did a little bit of this during that match where she'd get hit with something,
And
she'd
she'd
go
laugh.
down, and she'd laugh,
Mhm.
and it's like, okay, like this is we're starting to see some of this, um, kind of play out with her. We
Mhm.
see this, kind of she's laughing, so she's not really being hurt. And what did we learn about the Fiend? You can't hurt it.
Yep. And he can't feel pain.
He can't feel pain. So,
Mhm.
let's see. Big Dan asked, "Do you think this sends Nikki back to being more like um, her previous character, where she was cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs?" He didn't say that, but I added that in. So,
Not yet. I think that Alexa needs to use the mandible claw is where that changing happens. And so I think you could see Nikki go back to more sanity Nikki if she gets a mandible claw from Alexa and Alexa has the same power as Bray. But
Mm.
maybe she doesn't. Maybe that's where the eyes come into play.
Yeah.
I mean, theory time.
There you go.
What if Bray using the heel glove on Alexa is his way of letting her kind of borrow his power? And
Mm.
so if we see Alexa that way with those eyes after having received that heel glove from Bray, it gives her the power to change people as well.
Right.
But she can't
Sure.
do it without becoming that quote unquote healed version of herself.
Right. Right. Eric Harper is a man after my heart right now. He is fantasy booking Alexa versus Susie. Now, Eric, here's a better question for you, and then we'll get back to Bray and Alexa and all this. Would you rather see Alexa versus Susie, or would you rather see whatever Alexa becomes versus the one, the only? You know where I'm going with this. You know where I'm going with this, right,
No.
Jodie?
No.
Sue. Would you rather see that, or would you rather see Alexa and Susie? I personally would really like to see whatever Alexa becomes versus Sue Young all day long. I'd love to see that. But Eric, I want you to give me your answer because you brought up a great question there. Let's see here.
I'd like to see Alexa versus Scarlett.
Yes. Yes.
I'd actually like to see a mixed tag team match, but
Yes. Yes. Please, and thank you.
put that in the universe.
Yes, put that out there.
And the Fiend and Alexa's fiendy self versus Karrion Kross and Scarlett.
Yeah, give it to us, please.
Just book it now.
Just book it. just book it. Just book it. James Chadwick is also fantasy booking Fiend Alexa versus Sue Young versus Abaddon versus Rosemary.
Ooh.
Yeah. Give me that too, please. Big Boy Dally says it. So is Drew McIntyre out of the Bray picture, or is he still in?
It depends. I think there are still some things that he could do to help in the loosest sense of the of the word. With the mind games between Bray and Randy, so long as Randy is still going after Drew. If that makes sense.
That makes sense. I definitely think we're getting I don't know, because after the triple threat, we'll see what happens after tonight with Drew. But okay. So I know I ask you this question a lot. I ask you this question a ton.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say we get to TLC.
Mm-hmm.
Question number one, and I kind of know the answer, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Do you think we get The Fiend, Funhouse Bray, or something different versus Randy?
I think we get Cult Leader Bray versus Randy. Okay. Unless they go another direction. I mean, right now it's just mind games. There's nothing stopping the Fiend from having a feud with somebody else. I would still love to see the Fiend versus Jeff Hardy in a TLC match. But if they're going to continue down this road consecutively and him not be distracted by anybody else, then I think it could be Cult Leader Bray versus Randy.
Yeah. Now, here here's a crazy question for you. There's one in particular, one entity or one uh personality that we haven't seen
Mu-
yet in the ring.
Muscle Man Bray.
Yeah. Do you think we get that on?
Uh, I don't know. I think Muscle Man Bray is more of an entertainer
Okay.
than a wrestler. I don't know. I think there's a reason why we haven't seen him wrestle. I think he's like the stunt man. You know what I mean? I think
Yeah.
he's the he's the promo guy. I wouldn't mind seeing it because it'd be
Yeah.
really funny. It'd be
Yeah.
really funny, but I don't. I think Muscle Man Bray is going to be, reserved for the screen.
And I
We haven't gotten a song for a while though. I wouldn't
That's
mind
right.
seeing another song.
That's right. And honestly, when we saw him make an appearance at Mania, and I think that's the last time we've seen Muscle Man Bray. And by the way, the whole lead up to that, where he was, running after the pig, and then all that stuff. If you haven't seen that on the bump, please go check it out
Oh,
because it
it
was
was
absolutely amazing.
so funny. The funniest part of that video is him running away from a pig. I think it was just hilarious.
Yeah, it was just, it was great. I know Ahmad asked earlier. He was saying, "Who do you think is the Fiend besides Bray Wyatt? Do you think there's another possible Fiend out there? Do you think we're not at that point in the story yet? Perhaps."
I know we dug into this theory a while ago,
Hmm.
so maybe it's time we brought it back. I think there's a possibility we see kind of another Fiend, but it will be Abby embodying or becoming a host to somebody else, because I think the Fiend's weakness is Abby. And so I could see it down the road that Abby finds a new host. And it doesn't have to be a female
True.
because she was a host of Bray's Mind for a long time. So, we could see that. I think that's way, 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 way down the road. Um, but that's a possibility way down the road that Abby picks a new host.
That would be. I'm not sure why my microphone is doing this again, but um, let's see. I want you to react to this too. Matt J. Hendricks says, "I have a feeling that Bray is getting a bigger Mania match, and it's not versus Randy Orton."
How can you get bigger than The Fiend versus Randy Orton?
Yeah,
I mean,
tell us in chat who you think who
what's
you think this
bigger
is.
than Randy Orton? I mean, in terms of Bray's past, I think the person who did him the most damage was Randy Orton. Unless the only other person that I think did him as much damage is Matt Hardy, and Matt's not there anymore. Because Matt, I think, this is again me just theorizing, Matt is the one that separated Bray from Abby. But I don't know. How do you get bigger than Randy Orton? Fiend versus Vince. No, I wouldn't mind seeing Vince get a mandible claw though. That would be pretty awesome. I do, Wrestling Days fan, I do think Brock is Brock may come into the picture down the road. Because like I said, they were supposed to have that big match that never happened. Fiend versus Taker still. I don't know. I know, Jesse, I can still dream too, but I don't really think that Fiend versus Taker is gonna happen. I would love for it to, but I don't think that one's gonna happen. Yeah, it would be a cool match. But yeah, I don't know what would be bigger than Randy Orton at WrestleMania. I don't know. Fiend versus Big E. I'd be down for that because the Fiend does have a history with the New Day. So I'd be okay with the Fiend versus Big E.
We're gonna see how long my microphone cooperates here. Thank you for taking those questions too, because I'm over here like just trying to get this thing to work. So yeah, I heard you a little bit there. Honestly, Taker would have been the bigger match. Again, I don't think we'll get that.
No, Triple H would be a good one.
Did you see here? Matt says Triple H is technically the father of Bray Wyatt because the gimmick was created under the vision of Triple H in NXT, and once he let him go, Bray Wyatt hadn't been the same.
Yeah, and when was it that we thought that they may have an interaction and they didn't? It was a pay-per-view, it was a while ago, and we were like, oh, I wonder if he's going to go after Triple H, and he didn't. But they do have some history.
They do.
For sure. And I wouldn't mind that either. That would be a pretty big match. I still don't think that's bigger than Randy in terms of Bray's story.
Yeah. I'd love to see the Fiend against Triple H kind of in a match sort of like the Firefly Funhouse match. But have Triple H revert all the way back to and not terrorizing or any other names that he was known by. I'm showing my age here. If you remember Triple H as terrorizing, let me know in the chat because you're old just like me. But if he could take them all the way back and make them into that pompous Hunter Hearst Helmsley, not Triple H, but Hunter Hearst Helmsley, that would be pretty cool. And then kind of have him ride off into the sunset. Texas Star fan says Fiend versus Triple H will probably happen at a Saudi show.
I could see that.
If we can ever get past this crap, I think I think you're right. I do think you're right. Daz Reynolds, thank you for joining us. Asks, do you think the Fiend will interfere on Raw? We talked about that a little bit, but Jody, share what you said. Share what you said a little bit earlier.
I think because Moment of Bliss is opening the show, we will get some shenanigans for sure.
Shenanigans, that's right.
Shenanigans.
That's right. Big Dan says, I don't think Brock and Bray would fit together, just my opinion. And on the McMahon subject, what if Bray uses the mandible claw on Vince and it turns him into Attitude Era Mr. McMahon?
That'd be great.
That would be pretty cool. That's
if Mr. McMahon can remember what he was like back then.
Yeah, very true. There's a lot of truth in that statement. Drift Lewis asked, so is the Fiend face or heel. I don't think he's either one, Drift, but that's just my
He's a
opinion.
tweener.
Yeah, he's a tweener.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't think I think with a character like him, you don't necessarily need to put him in one of those boxes. Um, he's just a tweener. I mean,
Yeah.
he's getting pops like he's a face.
Hmm.
That's because we all love him. But I think he's more of a tweener. He
Hmm.
we'll say this. He's a borderline face with heelish tendencies.
There you go.
That
I like that.
There we go. Let's see. Elijah Washington joins us. Hey Elijah, how are you? He says hi. He says, hey Wrestling Insiders. Hi Jody.
Hi,
Thank you for
Elijah.
joining. Yeah.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. Butterspark says Fiend is a neutral ass kicker.
All right,
Agreed.
so Days Fan has a good question.
Okay.
If the Fiend and the Orton feud ended before Mania,
Mm-hmm.
then who would you put Bray up against at Mania?
At Mania?
Mm.
Okay. I guess
Like, let's say this feud ends at the Royal Rumble.
Okay.
Who is the Fiend gonna face at Mania?
It depends on how big we want that to be. If we want it to be kind of a good Mania match, but not main event worthy, even though I love this guy, I want to see him against Jeff Hardy. Jeff Hardy as Willow.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that's what I would want to see. I think Brock would be a big match. But honestly, and I know people are going to hate me for saying this, we got Edge versus Orton at Mania last year. Why not have Edge versus The Fiend at Mania?
Why would people hate you for that? I think that would be an interesting match.
I mean, I know.
I don't know how it would fit storyline, but
easy, real easy. Edge could be pissed off that The Fiend handles business before he gets a hold of Randy.
Okay, so it would be more Edge challenging The Fiend.
Yeah, it'd be more Edge challenging him because it's like, okay, you took away my
moment of glory.
My moment of glory. You took away my revenge. So if I can't get it on the person who I was going after, I'm gonna get it on the person who took that away from me.
Okay.
And I think you could build something real nice there with a back and forth. But I think that's the way to play that.
I dig it.
What about you? I hope I didn't steal your answers.
No, I couldn't really see how Edge versus The Fiend would play out, but I like that idea with, it'd be more Edge challenging The Fiend. I think it could be a good time. I think one that's worthy of a WrestleMania match is the one we didn't get to have between Roman and The Fiend.
Yes.
But I don't know if there's enough time to build Randy Orton and The Fiend and Roman and The Fiend before WrestleMania. Because those are two very, very, very big feuds.
Yeah.
So if you're going to have something really big end before Mania, like Randy and The Fiend, I think you got to go a little bit smaller.
Mm-hmm.
So I would really like to see Willow versus The Fiend.
Yeah, I mean,
that's something that you could build in a shorter span of time.
And there's history there. So, yeah. I mean, that makes sense. Matt says, I think you could do more with Triple H versus The Fiend than Edge. I mean, I do think that, that the story is definitely there for Triple H and The Fiend. I would almost like for it to be, I think in order for it to go, and you guys let me know You let me know what you think about this, but I think if he were to, he being Triple H here, um, if he were to start doing some one-off matches here and there, and then we find out that he actually wants to retire, and that's his retirement match, and it's Bray saying, "I want to retire the guy who didn't let me do X, Y, and Z in NXT." I didn't really mean to do that, but that sounded pretty cool. Then I think that would be really good. But let me know what your thoughts are. Sean Rousset says, if they do Edge versus Fiend, could it be a mixed tag? Beth and Edge versus Bray and Alexa. Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing that either. Yeah, I didn't. I think that's great. Big Dan says, Jeff, remember how Edge said he was going to break Orton? What if Bray leaves him broken and Edge basically finishes the job that Bray started, and maybe they're even in cahoots?
Ooh, I dig that.
That's pretty good right there. That's pretty good. See, now you have me intrigued. Now I'm
That's what Bray
intrigued.
does. That's what he's good at.
Yeah. I
Is
mean, we're
making you scratch your head.
Yeah. I mean, it's good stuff. Butterspark says Fiend eats Hornswoggle at WrestleMania 37.
Poor Hornswoggle.
Oh goodness. You mean AJ Swoggle, the wee nominal one?
He does look very, very tiny next to that guy.
Did you see? Well, I don't know if you caught any of the stuff on Twitter from Impact last week, but they had Ethan Page going up against a phenomenal opponent, and they bring out Swoggle, who's now in Impact, and he came out as AJ Swoggle, and on the back of his shirt, because I mean, honestly, with the way his hair is now, he does look like a shorter version of AJ Styles. And on the back of his shirt, instead of phenomenal one, it had we nominal one.
That's hilarious. That is absolutely hilarious.
So it was so good. Like, that was so good. But I had to share that story since we brought up Swoggle. Joey's Adventures asks, what if Orton tries turning the mind games on Bray by saying he was once mistaken Randy as his friend? So how does he know that Alexa isn't doing the same?
Oh, I definitely think Alexa's going to turn on Bray in the end. That's I would almost guarantee it. I definitely think. Well, they will separate, and I just have this gut feeling that she's going to turn on him in the end. I don't know why. It's just one of those really weird gut feelings that I think Alexa will go her own way, and I do think that she'll turn on him. Yeah. It won't be for a long time, but I definitely see it happening.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Couldn't tell you. It's just a gut feeling.
Just a feeling.
Yeah.
Elijah asked, what if Randy doesn't go to the segment with Alexa Bliss, but it's a swerve? Randy is actually at the Funhouse, and he uses a lighter to burn it down to get the Fiend mad, and the story becomes more personal.
I think it's already personal. Yeah. It's already pretty personal. I definitely at some point during this feud see Randy trying to set the Funhouse on fire. I think that's also something that's definitely going to happen. Just don't know when it's going to be. But we were also supposed to get this segment 2 weeks ago. So I think it's just going to happen the way it was supposed to 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
But we're going to get shenanigans.
Shenanigans. Matt says, my only issue with them doing Fiend versus Orton is I don't want Orton as a babyface again. I'm gonna let Jody give me your thoughts on that, because I don't think we necessarily will see him as a face if that
No,
when this happens.
no, I don't think so either. I think we are going to see a point where Randy's going to break and he'll snap. Um, but it's going to be, and I still think that it's going to be the point that Bray wants Randy to choose him. He wants him to come after him. So I think that's the point of all of this mind games, is getting Randy to snap and be like, all right, gobbledygooker, let's get it.
You mother gobbledygooker,
You
let's get it.
mother gobbledygooker,
Let's
quit
do it.
messing with me, and now I'm going to kick your, behind.
Gobbledygooker.
Now we're going to kick your gobbledygooker. So I think it's getting Randy to this point that he has that snap, and
he gets even darker,
yeah.
which is saying a lot. Unbroken 1010 says, okay, let's talk about serious stuff. How did Bray find enough time to get to Utah and Romania and put up that damn monolith?
What?
You didn't see the monolith, the thing that they found out in Utah that looks like it's straight out of a sci-fi movie? Like aliens just dropped it there in the middle of nowhere.
No.
I will have to send you a picture of it, because it is one of the creepiest things that I've seen. It's like, okay, yeah, the aliens really do exist. Definitely.
So basically, I live at work now. So if it doesn't revolve around Bray or WWE, I probably didn't see it.
She hasn't seen it, so Matt says, no, I mean Orton revert back to a baby face, given that every one who has faced the Fiend has changed. Balor was face when he faced Fiend, then he turned heel is what I mean. No, yeah, I understand that. Yeah, I get that. I just think that if we're looking at it from that logic, I don't, and maybe
But does facing the Fiend generally change you from heel to face or face to heel?
or does it just
What's not
really
to say that it just changes you, period, and you can go from being a heel to being a darker heel? Maybe it just makes you darker or brighter if you're a face. I don't know. I don't necessarily think that being changed by the Fiend changes you from one to the other. I think it just changes you in a way that is going to benefit you the most. Look at Alexa.
Yeah.
She was kind of a face before, but she's been a heel before, and now she's kind of in between, and she's just gotten darker.
Mm-hmm.
Even look at Bray himself. He's just gotten darker, and now that he's moved to USA Network and away from Fox, he's gotten darker. So I don't necessarily think it means you go from heel to face or face to heel. I think it definitely, especially for Randy, it just could be a situation where he gets darker, like Braun Strowman did. He didn't really go one way or the other. He just got darker.
Yeah, I think my theory would be, and then Jody, I want to get to the thing that you wanted to do to close out the show, but I think that he changes you into what you truly are. And I look at, I take it from what he said to John Cena. He says, now let's find out who you really are.
And he did say that. Remember, he posted that picture on Twitter.
Yes.
Of the boar mask, and he said, "Let's take a good look at you." Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that.
That's my theory. I mean, it's fun to theorize. So, but I honestly think that that's what he does. He doesn't necessarily change you from a wrestling standpoint, heel or face, but he makes you
Who
a
you really are.
version of who you really are. That's
He washes your brain.
right.
He cleanses
Right.
your mind.
Erase your mind, like he
Erase your
said.
mind. Yeah.
So just throwing that out there.
Because I mean, if you think about that, if you really delve into that quote, erase your mind, it's, you know, if you take away logic and, you know, being methodical and calculating in your thoughts and what you're doing, if you erase that, you're just going on gut instinct.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what he's doing to people. He's changing them into this version of themselves where they just go on instinct.
That's it.
I dig
All right.
it.
Well, let's close out the show this way.
Okay.
Who's your favorite friend of the Funhouse? Who's your favorite puppet?
Who's your favorite Funhouse friend? Who's
Let us
yours,
know.
Jeff?
I'm gonna go with Mercy, just because he just doesn't give a crap. He's just like, "You know what? This is who I am.
Screw you
I don't
guys.
care. I don't care if you like me." I
Yeah.
think that Mercy is. I want a little bit of Mercy to rub off on my personality, just a little bit, not a lot of it. I just need a splash of it. Just just because. Hey, why not? What about you?
I mean, everybody thinks I'm going to say Abby because, you know, that's
The show,
my nickname. But I am actually going to go with Ramblin' Rabbit because
Ooh.
he's resilient. And there's something to be said about no matter how many times you get knocked down, you keep getting back up. And I appreciate that about Ramblin' Rabbit, that he just keeps getting back up.
I like that.
No matter how many times he gets, you know, poisoned or how many different ways he can die, he still comes back and still keeps going.
Yeah. He takes a licking and keeps on ticking, as they say.
Yep.
Even in death, he still manages to find a way to come back for his wife and children. So all right. So
And I just love that he calls his wife Honey Bunny. That's
Honey Bunny.
adorable.
That's,
Honey Bunny.
You know what?
It's just cute.
Get you someone who loves
Calls
their
you Honey Bunny.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, like, be more like Ramblin' Rabbit. That's what we're saying here. All right, Jodie. Last thing we're gonna ask, and I had to show this off, so I just wanted to put this up because I wanted, I did work on it a little bit. But any new merch?
I don't know. I haven't looked.
Well, what's the latest
Not
merch that
doing
you
my
got?
duty. I think the latest merch is the fanny pack, isn't it?
I believe it is, but
there's
yeah.
tons of stuff out there. There's things you may have missed. There's slippers, there's blankets, there's a throw pillow, there's a fanny pack, there's backpacks, there's obviously you got the Fiend on the Sea, there's Christmas tree ornaments, there's boots, there's sweaters, there's pins. There's some really interesting pins out there. There's like a whole backpack full of school supplies. There's
There's a lot
anything that you can think of to put the Fiend's face on. They did it.
They did it. Because why wouldn't you?
Right.
Jacoby Snow says there's a Fiend dog collar and leash.
Yes, there is.
Wow.
I don't have a dog, so that really didn't stand out to me much, but we do want to get a dog eventually, but
See, that's what I'm saying.
Buying a house comes first.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, honestly, that's what. See, I'm the type of person that I'd get a dog. I'd get the collar and leash first, and then get a dog. Like I'd have to have a dog to use the collar and leash. So
We
that
are we're kind of in money saving mode at the
yeah,
minute. So I haven't bought a lot off of WWE Shop recently. I did buy one of Rob's pieces of art that he was selling on his new shop.
yeah.
I did get one of those of Cult Leader Bray. Surprise, surprise.
Hamburgerlabs.com, folks.
Yep. Of Cult Leader Bray. Surprise, surprise. Even though I have no room on my wall, I will eventually. But I did have to get one because he's one of the artists that I've always wanted to get, but ain't never had a space
Yeah.
on my wall to do it, and I just said, forget it, I'll figure something out.
So last thing here, and then we're gonna get out of here, folks. Going into overtime this week. Matt J. Hendricks asked a great question, and I'd love to get your thoughts. Thoughts on if we got a 1996 Mankind versus Fiend feud.
Whew. I mean, I think that's fantasy booking. It would be awesome.
It would,
but I'm pretty sure he's done wrestling. Here's what I want. Here's what I would like. Who was Bray's first match on the main roster with? An Inferno match.
I know this because you taught me this.
And this was Kane. I would love to see it come completely full circle and him have another Inferno match with Kane.
Yes. That would be amazing. And as we are getting out of here, just have to say that Unbroken 1010 has won the comments for the evening. Fiend condoms coming soon. So
oh gosh.
So protect your Willie with the Fiend.
That's funny.
That is pretty funny. Matt, I think that match between if the Fiend was around back then, I think they could have had and this I understand that what I'm about to say is almost sacrilegious. I think that they could have had a bigger moment than Taker Mankind. Because I think and I know that's saying a lot, and
that's not sacrilegious, that's blasphemous.
It is darn near blasphemous. But yeah. I think that with the right conditions, I think they could have had. Yeah, I'm gonna shut up because someone's gonna send me hate on Twitter. So I'm not gonna go any further with that, guys. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Jodie, you got anything to say before we get out of here?
Enjoy Raw. I'm already excited to talk about it next week.
Yep, me too. And
shenanigans.
Matt asked a question and then he says, "Them's fighting words." I know. So yeah, that's why I shut up because I need to stop. But yeah. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you again next Monday for Abby's Window. And tomorrow night, if you like Impact or if you want to check it out, check us out. So what do you say, Jodie? Do this again next week?
Yeah.
I
my
agree.
Favorite day of the week.
All right. Well, let's do it next Monday. We'll see you guys then. Take care, everyone.